My guest tonight has directed some of the most successful comedies of the past 15 years, including The 40-Year-Old Virgin, Knocked Up, and This Is 40. His latest, The King of Staten Island, is available on Blu-ray, digital, and on demand. Please welcome our friend Judd Apatow. Judd, how are you?
I'm happy to be here. I wish I was at Largo, though.
I know. You know, we should mention to people, I'm at the Largo Theater. I think the last live gig I did was with you.
That's right.
And Sandler and a bunch of other people.
Eric Idle.
Eric Idle. That's right.
People. Eric Idle, Bo Burnham. That was a crazy show.
It was a great show. You hosted it. And it was here at the Largo. I think we have a photograph of you and I on stage and also backstage, all of us. Yes. And I swear to God, I think COVID shut things down days later. And this place is now empty, except for my skeleton crew. This is my last memory of a live performance was here. And that was a great night.
That was a weirdly magical evening. I mean, it was almost so great that it was a good last one. You know, it's like if there was going to be a last one, because what if the last one you just bombed terribly in front of the crowd, and now you had to sit with that for a year?
Yeah, not that that's ever happened, but had I bombed that night, I would have felt like, oh my God, I'm through in the business, and being here at Largo would have been a terrible experience for me. But I had a fun night. We all had a fun night. And that's what I think about every day I come in here, is we got to get back to that place where we can come back here, all of us, do a show and get each other very sick.
Exactly. I love Largo. I do, a benefit there once a month for the last 4 years. And I have so many amazing memories of being there. One of my worst memories, now that you mention it, is, before a show you get nervous. So you use the Largo toilet.
Yes.
Which is kind of right in the center of things. It's a very small backstage area.
It's right back there, yeah.
Yeah. So I was there kind of early, used the restroom for a, pre-show deal with it situation, and then dealt with it in an ugly way. And then as I walked out the door, Jackson Browne was heading in. One of those situations where you want to go, Jackson, you want to pull a Jim Carrey. Do not go in there.
Poor Jackson Browne, and you know what? He hasn't been seen since.
He hasn't been seen.
I think he died after he used that restroom.
He brought me so much joy all throughout my whole life, and that's what I did to
him. He was humming "Doctor, My Eyes Have Seen the Years," walked right in, and then was gone. He's just dead. Now, tell me what you're doing. Are you keeping up with people during pandemic? Are you Zooming with a lot of people? What's going on?
I think the one thing that I've noticed is, you check in with people and you realize who you care about because that's who you check in with, right? Yeah. Like you go, hey, I haven't talked to so-and-so in a little while. I wonder how they're doing. Basically, you realize who you love. But you also realize who doesn't like you at all, because they don't check in on you. Now that it's been about 6-7 months, you just go, wow, that person must hate me because they don't know if I'm just dead in my house right now. They do not care for me at all.
It just occurred to me, this is the first time we've talked maybe in COVID. So maybe neither one of us really cares about the other one.
That's true, because I did your podcast also right before COVID.
Yep.
Conan Needs a Friend. We realized on the podcast that we were not going to be friends, that we had the ability because we live like 200 yards from each other and we don't do it. And so I think I feel comfortable knowing it's not on the table. It's always going to be about here, Largo. But, when you're hurting inside, like something's happening in your life, you are not going to call me and share it.
I don't think I'm going to call you in that situation. I may call you. The only reason I'd call you is to say your books are much too close to your fireplace. That I might say. That is a fire hazard. That is a terrible fire hazard.
There's a lot of hoarding here.
Yeah.
I'm a hoarder. This is what I've realized, is that I have just so much stuff around me. I mean, this is how much I hoard. I've got a Pete Holmes mouse pad.
No one has a Pete Holmes mouse pad.
No, Pete got it for me so I wouldn't forget about him after crashing. He wants to be on my hand.
That's a new level of sad. Well, our show is done, but I'm getting you a mouse pad of myself, so you have to keep thinking about me.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, hang on to that. That's a valuable thing to have.
Pete Holmes checked in on me.
Yeah, of course he did. You guys care about each other.
That's right.
You and I are dead inside.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Do you feel that that's what you've learned about yourself in this time? Because I think a lot about what am I supposed to be learning during this pause, during this purgatory, and none of it's been good. I don't feel like any of it has been good. I feel like show business right now is a phantom limb. Like we're all trying to pretend it's still there, but it's not there. Like you're in Largo right now pretending show business exists.
I'm doing my best to keep this facade going, that there is show business.
Yes.
But there isn't show business, and there's nothing. There's just, and everything's a Zoom. Like I can't get used to when I read a review of a play, it's just a picture of two Zoom squares. Like you read a review in the New York Times they say like it's a stunning new play, and it's 4 people on a Zoom, and there's no way that's what show business has become.
Do you find that when you're on a Zoom, you think if you fart, people can't hear it?
I think that that's all I think. That's pretty much all I've been thinking that the whole time. And it's all I think.
Like, no, I don't think they can hear it. It can't get through the sound. It can't get through the Zoom.
Now, are you? What are you watching? Because I have started watching stuff I never would have watched otherwise. I'm watching this show that people tell me has been on forever. That's called Selling Sunset. It's like and everyone watching is like, Conan, where have you been? But it's a reality TV show where they just sell upscale real estate in West Hollywood. I started watching that. And
I don't like real estate agents. I don't want to spend time with them in my free time.
I don't either. I'm not even saying I'm enjoying it.
No.
I'm just...
They've taken advantage of us.
It's a sign of the times that I'm watching a show and my assistant told me, it doesn't really get good till season 3.
Yes, this is what people say.
And I'm watching, and that's what people say, and I'm watching it. I'm watching this show, and I'm going like, it's still not really, nothing's happening, but I guess I have to watch 2 full seasons till something picks up. I never had that kind of patience for a show before.
You used to hear that about The Wire. Yeah, you got to get to the seasons of Idris Elba. It's like, I think that's season 3 or 4. Like, okay, so I need to get 30 in. By the way, season 1 of The Wire is great, so it was a lie.
Whoever said that about any, but are you doing that now? Or because people have, that's a common thing I keep hearing is just get through 5 seasons and then it really picks up. But you've got to watch the first 5.
You got to get halfway through season 4 Game of Thrones, then it really kicks in. My wife and I, we have so many, binging fights. We're always fighting about that because she does not follow any binge rule. Like I will go somewhere, like say we get like a little tiff, get a little tiff. And we're watching, we were watching Prime Suspect, starring Helen Mirren, which is on Hulu. Great English show, classic old show.
I like how you said Helen Mirren.
Mirren.
You went starring Helen Mirren. Like, what are you going to do about it? It's not a bar fight, Helen Mirren. Helen Mirren, what are you going to do about it? You want to take me on now? So is it good?
So, yes. So it stars Helen Mirren and...
now it's Woody Allen. It's Helen Mirren.
And so we get into like a little tiff about something, and then next time I turn it on, she's 3 seasons forward. She's leaped 3 seasons, and also doesn't care. Like I'll go, well, what's going on? She's like, Google it. Go read a summary of previous seasons.
That's terrible. If you're watching, to me, that's a contract. If I'm watching something with my wife and there's an implied contract that this is a show we watch together, Then later on, I find out that she's gone a whole season ahead of me.
Yeah.
That's like waking up in the wilderness and your partner left early in the morning and took the thermos and the food. You know what I mean? And and they're just gone. They went up the trail without you. That's a betrayal.
Yeah, my wife watched the last season of The Crown without me. And then you're in a situation where you're like, well, when am I going to get to watch it alone? I don't have this kind of time. I don't got 8 hours where you're going to let me hang out alone to catch up on The Crown. We have to be in sync as a couple. This is very important. We watch a lot of Dateline. I find that, for some reason that's our comfort show. Dateline, because it's about murder generally, but for some reason the way they edit it, they cut away before anyone has feelings. They just briskly move through the murder. You'll see a documentary and something, there's a murder and people cry and they feel and you're devastated. But Dateline, it's kind of bouncy and light through murder.
I think it's strange too, because I agree with you. I love Dateline, and I find it strange that murder has become our comfort food. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, it's just, this is where the body was found, the head's missing, but we found one of the feet, and you're watching it like, this is chicken soup for the soul, And
I'm not sure why that is. I don't know if it's like, at least I haven't been murdered, or life is better than this, but also I do feel like I'm experiencing it with them, but also I enjoy the hosts because they're just so strange and they ask like weird questions. Ever since Bill Hader did impressions of every host, I only think of Bill while I watch the show, because they're always just going like, well, that mustn't have felt good. And I just think of Bill. Like, it's like his head is on the screen.
Yeah, he ruined it for everybody. Bill Hader ruined it for everybody. Are you getting a lot of good time with your kids? Are you getting some quality time?
I feel like everything's changed with the kids, because in the beginning we had this feeling like, the one good part of this is we're getting to spend a lot of time with the kids. And at some point, the kids are letting us know that they've had enough of us, and it's way too much, and they would like us to go away. and it hurts. Like, I could feel it now. Painful. Like, too much parents. Because, when we were kids, we didn't want to hang out with our parents. We all have this expectation they want to hang out with us, which they don't.
No. Well, we grew up in a different time. My parents, when I was growing up, it was made very clear, everyone stay away from everybody. Yeah. Nobody, let's just get through life. Let's get to the grave and not talk about anything. Let's not look at each other. Yeah. Now then this became this whole thing that we're expected to really live and enjoy with each other as we grow up. That never happened before. That's a new thing. Yeah,
the whole idea that you're supposed to be your kid's best friend.
No, that's awful. It's terrible.
Were your parents your best friends?
No. Of course not.
You have a lot of common with them and hang out a lot?
It reminds me, Norm Macdonald, I think, once said that he said, I went home for Christmas and it was terrible. I accidentally made eye contact with my father. I thought, that I can relate to. I was thinking, I know, is it your daughter Iris is, I think, this is her senior year. Is she driving yet?
She is driving, but she's supposed to take her driver's test. But I don't know if you're allowed to take a driver's test right now. I think there's like an 11-month backup. Yeah. So I'm happy about that. I want to delay her driving as much as possible. She's kind of lazy about getting those things done. And then I'm purposely not getting on the wait list for the test so that she's like 22 before it happens.
Yeah, I want my kids to be in their mid-50s when they start driving. Does she have to get her own car then? When it's time for her to drive, is she going to have to get her own car?
This is a good question, because there's some expectation that we'll get her something. I got Maud a Volvo. You try to get a safe car. I like going to look for cars with the kids because the salesmen do a funny thing is they always shit talk other kinds of cars but act like they're not doing it, you know? Mm-hmm. So if you say like, well, you know, we had a Prius before, those are great cars. I mean, I have a friend who got sterile from one, but it's a pretty car. It's a pretty car. Those batteries sometimes just explode out of nowhere, and I think there's something in the battery where you can't put the fire out. But yeah, I mean, it's a handsome car.
If you want to go that way, you can go that way.
Yeah, exactly.
No, they always have a way of disparaging a car that's even famously great. And like, think of the nicest car you can think of, like a Mercedes. Yeah. They'll find a way. If you're talking to someone who doesn't sell a Mercedes and you mention Mercedes are really nice cars, they'll find a way to say that's a crappy car.
I mean, it's a weird model this year. You kind of look like a Klingon when you drive it. But it's a solid car. It's a little overpriced. But yeah, I mean, maybe not this year.
When we talked on the podcast, you talked about therapy. I don't want to pry too much, but are you still getting therapy? Are you still talking to a therapist during this crazy time? I would think you should be.
I always talk to therapists. I have a team. I always have multiple therapists working.
You act like it's a law firm, like you have 9 therapists.
I have 2 therapists. They know about each other. I've had a lot of therapists. I went to a therapist for a while, many years ago. He was recommended by Garry Shandling, Garry Shandling.
There he is. That's beautiful.
And he and I went to see him for a while, and then I was in the lobby of his place waiting, and there were all the books that he wrote. And the book that he wrote was this book, Total Orgasm. And I was like, what is going on with this book? And then there's all these pictures in it. They're kind of dirty pictures. I'm not sure what.
Jesus.
And I said to Garry, you didn't tell me the therapist you sent me to was the Total Orgasm guy. And Gary's like, I never talked about orgasms with him. I don't know what that is.
So did you ever bring it up to the therapist? I mean, he must know these incredible secrets.
I literally got scared to ask him for orgasm advice. I should have asked him. And then I said to Garry, how's it going with that therapist? Like a year later. And he's like, oh, I left him. I'm like, you're not allowed to recommend a therapist, decide you don't like him, and then not tell me that I should leave too. We have to do it together.
That was a betrayal.
That was a deep betrayal.
When we see Garry in the next plane, we will. I swear to God, we're going to see Garry again, and we should just confront him with all the things that he did that annoyed us.
Everything that he did wrong. Now's the time. We should start really ganging up on Garry.
We're going to have an eternity with him at some point, so we might as well just get it off our chests and talk about all this stuff.
There'll be time to hash it out.
All right. Well, listen, upcoming election. I know you're very involved. Are you feeling any one way or the other? Are you just nervous like everybody else? Like all of us are just thinking, and in addition to COVID and everything else, the idea that this election is going to happen in weeks is terrifying. Just terrifying, I find.
Yeah, and I track it like second by second. Like I am tweeting, I am watching, I am stressing. Leslie decided like she just dips in and checks every few days. I check minute by minute. She looks so healthy. She looks like she's regenerating. Like, you know, her skin, she's like Millie Bobby Brown. I look like a wartime president. I'm just aging.
You look like Franklin Roosevelt in 1945, exactly. Seconds before he died.
Exactly. Minutes before his death. But I'm hopeful that there's enough people in the country who have realized that the experiment was a mistake. The experiment to get that guy probably wasn't a good idea. Right. Maybe the apprentice guy can't run the country, and that it's a simple decision. I mean, we debate about a lot of things, but it seems kind of simple at this point.
I think what we should do is take a break from having a TV host, be president with no experience, with the electorate, and then at maybe a term or two down the line, someone like me would be the country would be ready again.
I think if you don't get a haircut till then, and then you get your own little swoop, then I think then we're all for it.
I'll get all the Trump people will be like, he kind of reminds me. If by then I'll have swirled it around, Yeah, I'm excited about it, and I'm glad that I have your support. Still very worried about your hoarding. I just want to say that before we go. You've got to clean that place up. I love that so many people make an effort to clean up the space behind them. You've done nothing. You've done nothing.
I've got nothing.
You were like, well, time to go talk to Conan. I guess I'll just go in this shit room.
I was so bored the other night that I went on eBay and I bought a autographed Gypsy playbill autographed by Patti LuPone.
Oh, there you go. Well, how much? Can I ask?
You know what? I don't have that information in front of me, but I may not have even looked. I may have just clicked. It was one of those nights. You know, like sometimes you're just like, don't know what I'm going to do right now. I don't know how I'm going to get to sleep. I wonder what signed playbills are on eBay.
Well, make sure I get the word out here. The King of Staten Island, now available on Blu-ray.
Everyone still has Blu-rays, right?
You still got that Blu-ray.
Who doesn't have a Blu-ray right now? Everyone's got a Blu-ray. It's the hot new technology.
Also, you can jam this into a CD player from the 70s, and it will kind of work.
Yeah.
That's a guarantee.
The extras will work.
Yes. Judd, so nice to talk to you.
Nice to see you,
I can't wait. Seriously, I honestly can't wait till we get to be in this theater together again with some funny people and have a real show with humans. That would be such a blast.
We will be back. They can't stop us.
We shall return. All right, Judd Apatow, thank you, and I bow to you.
I bow to you.